Okay, so I'm going to start a new Python script. The first thing I'm going to do is I need to set my working directory, right, like always. This is where all my data files will be. And in my case, it's this folder here. So I have my users.zip. And make sure you download the zip file. The first time I posted a .rar file, that's fine. But Python, it's much easier for Python to work with zip file. So I have that in here. I have my Shenzhen Hong Kong food POIID text file, right? And I think that is all I will need. So if you have these two files in your directory, just put that directory as your working directory, and I have to add these backslashes like always. Backslash in Python is denotes a special character. So if you want a tab, it's \t, and that's a tab. A return is \r, a new line is \n. You might have seen this already in some of the scripts. But if I really want a backslash, then I have to do \\. And that's a special character that is itself. It's a little bit weird. But basically, if you leave this as just a single backslash, and \c is something, it's going to put in as something. So if you have like something that starts with a T, it's going to put in a tab there. That's the only reason. It's a little bit cumbersome, but whenever you do directories, you just have to add that extra slash. Okay, and then I have my POIID file name, and this will be my working directory plus the name of this file. Right, this is the file which has all my Weibo locations. I'm going to copy and paste that to here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is read through that file and start to build up a dictionary which will contain all my information about the different users in the different locations. Okay, so at this point I'm not building up a graph yet. I'm just going to take these files that are right now in the text format, so it's line by line. It's hard to search through. It's hard for Python to find information. I'm just going to rebuild all that data as a single dictionary. And the dictionary is going to be every location I'm interested in. So every one of these places is going to be a key. And every key will have its own dictionary. So that will be a dictionary about that location. And it's going to have its latitude, its longitude, and all of the user IDs that have checked into there. So it's literally just taking that zip file and converting it to a dictionary representation that Python can then work with. And this is a really good first step for working with this data. Okay? In order to trade data back and forth, we have it as this tabulated data set. But if you want to do any processing in Python, it's always good to convert it into a sort of logical dictionary representation. Okay, so I'll show you, there's two steps to this. First, we're going to build the core of the dictionary with the first data set, and we're going to populate it with all of the user IDs from the zip file. Okay, so the first step is to go through this selected location file. I'm going to create a empty dictionary. This will be my dictionary for all the POID information. Okay. This is just an initializer. I'm just saying that's a dictionary, and now I can put things into it. Okay, then I'm going to open my text file. Okay, so now I'm opening my POIID file for reading, right? And it's going to be, while I'm in the structure, I'm going to be able to access this file with F. Again, this with structure is just a really safe way to work with files, because as soon as I get out of the structure, Python will automatically close that file and ensure that it doesn't get corrupted or overwritten. Okay, I'm going to make a variable called data, and into that variable I will read in the whole file. We've done this already before. And then I'm going to make a new variable called entries, and into the entries I'm going to set all the data, which is read in, just that huge text file, and then split lines will actually subdivide it into individual lines. So entries will now be a list of every line of that data. Okay? If you remember, each line contains these three pieces of information for each point. And then the last thing I'll do is kind of a neat trick, and this pop you'll see later. What pop does is it takes an array and it pops one entry out of the array. And that entry you can set as a variable, and it also takes it out of the array. So this is a good way of kind of going through parts of an array while decreasing the size of the array. You can think about it as you have a bag, and you're just taking things out of that bag. You just have one, you can work with this, it's no longer in the bag, and you can pop things out until there's nothing left. And the reason I'm popping the first thing here is because the first line is actually this categories that I don't want to look at, okay? So I'm using it here just to get rid of the first thing. It's a quick way, but pop is also useful for other kinds of working with arrays. So we'll see in just a few minutes, actually. Okay, so if you've ever seen pop before, that's what it's about. And in this case, I'm just deleting the first line, right? Because I don't need that information. So now all I have is entries, is all of my locations, right? All the information about my locations. All right, and then once I have all the information, I'm going to iterate through every entry in this entry array. And I'm going to store the ID, the lat, and the long into my new dictionary here. I'm going to say for entry in entries. All right, so this is just going to iterate through every single one. Let's say data equals entry dot split semicolon. Make sure it's in quotes. So this will split every line by the semicolon, which is my delimiter. And data becomes an array of 3 components for each piece of data, right? Once I have that array, I'm going to go to my POID dictionary. So this is this dictionary here. I'm going to start to populate it. And remember, the way you populate dictionaries is by giving it a key and then setting something to that key. And there's always this key value pair in dictionaries. So the key you put into square brackets. And the key is going to be the first piece of information in my data array. So I have ID, lat, long, right? So my key is going to be the ID, and this will make it really easy for me to find any information about any key later on. And then the value, so following the equal sign, the value will be a new dictionary. Okay, so in my big dictionary, I have a small dictionary for every ID. And in that dictionary, I'm going to have one key, which is the latitude. So remember the colon here. This is the key. And this is the value. And that value will be the latitude. So data, the second item here, is the latitude. And I can add in as many entries as I want, right? So I have latitude and I have longitude. This is the basic structure of my dictionary. All I've done is literally just take this text file and convert it into a dictionary logic, which will make it really easy for me to search through. So at this point, once I build this, I can find any information about any of the entries. Okay, so just so you see what this looks like, I'm going to just run through the first few entries instead of running through the whole data set. I don't know if we've seen this in class so far, but if you have any array, so entries right now is an array of all the IDs, right? You can access any subset of that array with this syntax. So you have square brackets, that's how we get into any piece of data structure, right? And you have a colon, and it defines the range of data you want to look at, okay? So I can say go from the first entry to the 5th one. That'll just give me 5 things. If it's 0, you can leave it out, okay? It's just a shortcut. So this will give me all the values. And if I want the first 5, I can just do :5. If I want the last 5, I can do -5 : okay? You can play around with that. It's really useful for troubleshooting. We're going to start to work with these huge arrays. We don't want every time we try to do something, go through the whole like 100,000 objects, right? So this is a quick way to say, go through the first 5, build a dictionary, and then we're just going to print that dictionary out. All right, let's just see if everything's working the right way. All right, so there it is. So you see this is our main dictionary, and then within each one we have a POID, and then colon, so this is the key, and the value for that key is this new dictionary, which has the latitude key, the latitude information, the longitude key, the longitude information, comma, and then the next entry. And this is what we want. It's a double nested dictionary. At this point, if we want to find any piece of data, so I'll just copy this POID, we can actually search that dictionary with that key. So here I'm just going to print what is in this dictionary under this key. This is a POID I want to look at. Hit run, and see here it gives me that dictionary. And now if I say what is the latitude of that location. Here's the latitude. Okay? Does that make sense? That's all we're doing right now. We're just restructuring the data into a way that we can easily access things within Python. And all of the processing in this class we're going to do in Python. Whether we're just building graphs for visualization, we can do graph processing, we're going to do machine learning next week. Always in Python. So this is really useful, okay? This is not graph theory yet. This is just how to work with and rebuild data structures in Python.